Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Cinephile Gamers Podcast. I am your host, Bo Smith, and this is something that I have really wanted to do for a long time now. Talk about movies, video games, get into podcasting mostly, but having a discussion on that. So if you are listening to this, thank you for joining me. Hopefully you continue to listen to this. Hopefully I can stick to a schedule. I will be honest right now, I don't have anything laid out in full plans. I'm hoping to do something at least once a week, so just continue to tune in, and I will also try to start marketing on this, getting a Twitter up, maybe a Facebook or an Instagram page, whatever the kids are doing these days. And then we'll see what we can do from here. So with this first episode, what I really want to do is just kind of get an introduction of me specifically. And then I will also talk about some of the movies that are coming out later this year that I am looking forward to, and just have a small discussion on each one. So like I said, my name is Bo Smith. I am a huge cinephile and video game nerd. If you want to know a little bit about me, I am a fan of Super Mario Brothers, the series. So that's going to be my main video game series that I love and adore. And then for movies, I like a wide genre of movies. I'm a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and comic book movies. Now, I'm not going to be discussing those every week, and it's not going to be a Marvel-centered podcast, but what I am going to discuss some of those things, and I will also make sure to cover comedies, dramas, everything else that, of course, more people might be interested in, because I know this superhero craze has kind of worn some people down. But if you're a comic book nerd like I am, then you get really excited about that sort of thing. All right. And try not to ramble on, but I will at least kind of go ahead and talk about my anticipated movies for 2022. Also, one more thing that I want to mention about this podcast specifically is that I am right now hosting by myself. I hope to have a couple other people on eventually. No one famous necessarily, but maybe my friends that are also big cinephile nerds, maybe my wife who likes to casually watch movies with me and give her opinions on things too. I think that will be really fun, just to kind of bounce ideas back and forth off of each other, that sort of thing. Now, without further ado, let's kind of go over my list of 2022 anticipated movies of the year. Granted, I don't know when this first episode is going to be coming out, but the first movie I had listed is Jackass Forever, and it's not really a movie that you can review, but if you like people hurting themselves, America's Funniest Home Videos, but on steroids and probably drugs and alcohol, then yeah, this is a movie that I think most people will enjoy. I used to watch Jackass 1 and 2, as well as some of the TV show a long time ago, especially when they were a lot younger. So this is something that I was kind of surprised that we're getting, since Johnny Knoxville and the gang, they're in their late 40s, early 50s. But like I said, this movie's probably already out by the time this episode released. Hopefully I get to watch it pretty soon, and I am super excited for just the antics that they come up with, and laughing until I cry, that sort of thing. The next movie that I have on my list is The Batman, and it's going to have Robert Pattinson in the role, which I'm sure he's now going to be nicknamed Robert Battinson soon. And this just seems like a movie that is very realistic, kind of like the Nolan Batman movies. So I'm expecting a lot of grounded Batman, not comic book Batman. I'm also expecting a lot of the detective work as well in this movie. The Riddler's going to be the main bad guy in it, so I can see where this is going to be detective heavy emphasis. We've also got Catwoman in here too, so I'm really excited to see just kind of the direction that this Batman series goes. I did like Ben Affleck's Batman. Obviously, it doesn't look like we're getting much of a DCEU, so maybe going back to the solo movies, that sort of thing, that's really what the DC movies need to focus on. It's what their strong suit is, and I don't have a problem with that at all. Not everyone can have a cinematic universe, I mean, Marvel's pulling it off fantastically, but not everyone needs that. And you can still have a billion-dollar movie or a high-grossing movie without having that sort of thing. So the Batman comes out March 4th. That is one that I think a lot of people are going to be looking to anyways. The next movie that ties into the whole Cinephile Gamers podcast is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, this is a movie that's going to be very near and dear to my heart. When the first Sonic movie had come out, I went to see it with my friend Tanner. He and I both grew up playing Sonic the Hedgehog at his house on the Sega Genesis. That is showing how old we are and dating ourselves a little bit, but going into the Sonic movie, of course, everyone knows about how Sonic was originally designed. He was so monstrous that no one liked that image. So the studio redid him. Ended up being a good movie, I would say. I went into it thinking, okay, they redesigned the character. I'm still expecting a dumpster fire of a movie. And yes, there were cheesy dialogue, and of course Sonic flossing is something that's going to be extremely dated as soon as it comes out. But it was a good movie overall, I thought. It stuck well to Sonic's strengths. Ben Schwartz did a really good job. Going into it, I was like, I wish they would have stuck with the video game voice actors, but Ben Schwartz really made the character his own. Really enjoyed his performance. Of course, love Jim Carrey as a person in general, but I really enjoyed his performance as Dr. Eggman and can't wait to see what he brings to the next movie. Of course, with this next movie, you also have Colleen O'Shaughnessy as Tails, who is the video game voice actor for Tails, so I'm really excited she's coming back to reprise that role. And then with Knuckles, Idris Elba is going to be voicing him, and that was one that I was just like, I really cannot picture how this man is going to voice him. But as soon as the trailer released at the Video Game Awards and got to listen to him, I was like, okay, you can get it, Idris. I can't wait to see this and see how you go through this next movie. I am also taking bets on this with a couple of friends just to see if we're going to actually see Supersonic. Obviously, it looked like the Master Emerald was shown off. It's going to go deeper into that Sonic the Hedgehog lore from the video game. So this is going to be one that I think is really tailored to the fans now that it's been established of who Sonic it is and how well he can work in a movie, which is actually honestly pretty well. So here's looking to April 8th and seeing another good Sonic movie. The next movie I have on my list is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And this movie I really want to do well. It is a Nick Cage movie where Nick Cage plays himself. And I think that is a recipe of some great comedy. It's going to probably rely heavily onto the meme culture. If you don't know what it's about, it's Nick Cage, who is much like in his real life, strapped for cash, going to a billionaire's house who invites him out for his birthday party. And it's them, I guess, going into some crazy antics. I haven't read into the movie specifically, but it looks like it's going to be really funny with Nick Cage, Pedro Pascal, doing buddy type movie and just seeing Nick Cage go crazy in itself. Obviously, it was showing him in the Face Off where Pedro Pascal's character has Nick Cage Face Off mannequin that looks so lifelike, and Nick Cage goes, "That is hideous. I'll pay you $20,000 for it." So this movie looks incredibly funny too. Going into the May lineup, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is falling off the heels of Spider-Man No Way Home. And as far as the next MCU movie goes, I'm really excited to see the direction it takes. Obviously, I'm not going to go ahead and do a spoiler review for Spider-Man No Way Home, but if you haven't seen that movie, you really should. I think it's one of the best Spider-Man movies to ever come out. Now, that being said, it does explore the multiverse a little bit in that movie, and of course, Doctor Strange is going to be going into it. What I'm really looking forward to this movie specifically is how the MCU fleshes out the multiverse a little bit more. If you have not been watching some of the other content like on Disney Plus, it's really shown different directions that Marvel is wanting to go with these properties and characters, like spoiler alert for WandaVision and Loki. Wanda goes into more her character of the Scarlet Witch. You actually get the costume now, and she's going to be a powerful sorceress, and so that's going to be interesting to see if she kind of goes crazy with her powers like she does in the comics. You also have Loki, how at the end of season 1, King the Conqueror essentially takes over overseeing the different timelines of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and how he's kind of essentially the ruler of it all, overseeing it all. And I don't know where that's going specifically, or if that will play into Doctor Strange at all. You also got a little bit of multiverse madness from What If, as it showed, what happens if Ultron got the Infinity Stones, or what happens if Peggy Carter became Captain America, or I guess Captain Britain, or the Captain in this case. So a lot of different directions we're seeing Marvel go out to. I want to know where this is all leading to in a couple of years as far as how everything connects together, because obviously you still have the Eternals, you're going to be introducing the Fantastic Four, and I gotta imagine you're introducing the X-Men at some point or another. So really interested to see where all this goes on May 6th. I'm gonna stick with more Marvel movies, not necessarily the MCU, but we have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 coming out later in October. And of course, if you have not seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, such a fantastic animated movie, definitely deserving the win for Best Animated Feature film of the year a few years ago. And that was a movie that really played heavy into what makes Spider-Man such an amazing hero. Of course, it wasn't focused on Peter Parker. It was focused on Miles Morales and how he becomes Spider-Man. And overall, just a very heartfelt movie. A lot of love going into people who love Spider-Man and people who really care about this character. This movie, it's going to have Jake Johnson return as Peter Parker. Shamika Moore, I think, is the voice actor for Miles Morales. He's going to be returning, obviously, going to be excited for that. Oscar Isaac is going to be Spider-Man 2099. And of course, there's going to be other Spider-Man, I assume. But yeah, really excited to see where this takes us. I'm kind of surprised it's going to be a 2-part movie. Really interested to see how they're splitting this up as well, because honestly, I figured these would be standalone type feels, like a Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, or Spider-Man Spider-Verse 1, Spider-Man Spider-Verse 2, that sort of deal. Also, Oscar Isaac landing a lot of really cool roles recently. Of course, like I said, he's going to be Spider-Man 2099 in this movie. He's going to be Moon Knight later on this year. And then just another movie that I can think of off the top of my head is he's going to be Solid Snake in the upcoming Metal Gear Solid movie, if that ever gets off the ground. So really like him and all the stuff he's put out. But I'm excited to see where more of his new movies take him as well. Getting off the Marvel superhero topic and superheroes in general, we're going to go on to Mission Impossible 7, which I don't know if it's being released later this year or if it's going to be a 2023 movie. I've seen so many different reports on that, but I love the Mission Impossible series. Say what you will about Tom Cruise and his beliefs in Scientology, I'm going to separate the man and the actor a little bit, because as an actor, he is phenomenal doing his own stunt works. I mean, if you haven't seen the last Mission Impossible movie, again, spoiler warning for an older movie, but he does the halo dive from just that high altitude. And I guess that's what a halo dive is, a high altitude dive. But it's just one of those things where I'm like, wow, he is upping the ante each movie. And I mean, soon enough, he's probably going to go film something in space and do a stunt there. But I really don't know how he tops it each time. And I think he broke his ankle on the last movie too, but keeps going with it. So I'm really excited to see if it does come out later this year, what the story is going to be about. I really like the last couple Mission Impossible movies they've done. It seems like after Mission Impossible 3, it's really just gone up and up, not only on the action, but on the quality of storytelling as well. So, like I said, hopefully it comes out later this year. Someone said it was a maybe September or November release, or it could be a 2023 release. So, can't wait to see what that movie holds. Oh, I forgot to mention this. This one's going back into April 22nd, but The Northman, with Alex Skarsgård, Anya Taylor-Joy, Willem Dafoe. It's just one of those movies that is the uncle kills your father, and it's this man going out on revenge to avenge his father. Very much a Hamlet-inspired story. In fact, I think Hamlet is inspired on the legend of the Northman's character. So it's going to be a really high action, probably very gory, dirty movie. But based off the trailer, it looks very exciting. The action looks very intense. And obviously the story is going to be one of those that's very, edge of your seat. Can't wait to see what happens next and see if this man ends up reclaiming his kingdom. That comes out April 22nd. And I think the director of this movie, whose name escapes me, but he also filmed The Lighthouse, which was kind of a hit or miss movie for a lot of people. For me, it was like, okay, this is very interesting. Later on in the movie, I'm like, this is really weird. Don't know if I would ever go back to watch it again, but it's a movie that I'm like, oh yeah, this is Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe at some of their best acting. So really excited to see if The Northman replicates that as well. And then finally, going forward to December 21st, it's the Super Mario Brothers movie. Now, this movie, whether you are a huge fan of Super Mario or not, I'm sure you've heard a lot of news about it and kind of the big lineup on the voice cast and how it's kind of got a lot of people split. Chris Pratt is going to be Mario. I know a lot of people are not for it, but from what I've read, he's not going to do the, it's a me, Mario type accent. He's going to do something else with it. So I have hope lining up for that. That since he's not going to do that, I'm sure he's going to do the voice in a one-off joke, but we'll see how that goes. Charlie Day is going to be Luigi, which, funny enough, I think is just like, oh, yeah, I can definitely see this casting choice as opposed to Chris Pratt being Mario. Anya Taylor-Joy is going to be Princess Peach. We just mentioned her a minute ago. She's a great actress in all she's done, so I'm sure she's going to do well. Jack Black is Bowser. Definitely not the choice I saw coming, but very excited to see how he does in that and makes that role into his own. Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. What? Yeah, I don't know how DK is going to fit into this movie, but that's going to be a weird choice. Keegan-Michael Key is Toad, which I guess he's not going to do the voice, that high-pitched voice that Toad does, but we'll just see. Like I said, very interesting lineup and cast. I didn't think they were going to do the Charles Martinet approach where he voices all the characters and has them actually do full dialogue as opposed to what he's always done in the video games, which is the very few words, kind of gibberish Italian sort of deal. But he is also going to be in this movie, funny enough, is a few cameo roles. I'm not sure what that is going to entail. They never revealed that in the Nintendo Direct. But I imagine there's going to be like a reference to, I would think, Wario or Waluigi, and he'll probably do like a quick voiceover line for that. But I am glad he is going to be in the movie. Wish he was doing Mario and Luigi, but like I said, I'm going to wait to judge everything on this movie until I actually see it. Maybe Chris Pratt and Charlie Day and all the others will do a phenomenal job, but we'll just wait to see how that lines up. There was something else about this movie too. Illumination is doing it. The people who brought you Despicable Me and of course all the Minions movies, Sing, all that sort of stuff. Not a huge fan of Minions, gonna be honest, but from what I've understood, Nintendo is working really closely with the head of Illumination Studios, so obviously, they are hand-holding this as opposed to what happened to the Mario Brothers movie in the 90s, which we don't talk about, and how that was an atrocity. But we'll see how Nintendo has guided Illumination Studios into this movie. And the direction that the movie goes ultimately. What else? There's other movies that I left off this list just because I'm going to wait to see. Of course, there's more Marvel movies like Thor, Love and Thunder. Thor 3 did absolutely well. This is going to return Taika Waititi as the director. Natalie Portman's coming back. I am going to assume she's going to become Lady Thor and probably have a more bigger role into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I'm going to wait to see. That movie's coming out in July, I think. We also have other movies. Avatar 2 is coming out at the end of the year as well. I'm not a fan of the original Avatar movie, so we'll wait and see how that goes. I'm sure it's going to make a ton of money again. James Cameron somehow has the ability to do that, and he does make good movies. Avatar, of course, just a technologically impressive movie at the time it came out. I just didn't care for the story. I'll be honest, I fell asleep whenever I watched it on DVD, and I was just like, I can't get into it. It ended up being an okay movie, but we'll see how the next couple of movies take this. Wakanda Forever, the sequel to Black Panther. Of course, rest in peace Chadwick Boseman, who's not going to be returning to the role. And everyone's kind of curious on what's going to happen to Black Panther specifically, how they're going to write him out of the movie, or if someone else is going to be taking up the mantle. Really interested to see what happens. Just going to hold my opinions on that until we get into it later. And there's possibly The Whale, Darren Aronofsky's film that might be coming out later this year. I'm not sure, but it's Brendan Fraser who is going to be taking the lead role, and I love Brendan Fraser. I think the world could use more Brendan Fraser and his positivity into every role he brings, and then of course the energy he brought like previously in The Mummy, Looney Tunes Back in Action, that sort of thing. Those are the only two movies that I can remember of his coming to the back of my mind. But if we can see a Brendan Fraser resurgence, that would be awesome. But basically that is my list of movies that I am highly anticipating. And of course there's going to be other movies that come out. I think there's a couple of movies that that are on my radar that are going to be filmed in Arkansas, which is of course where I'm based out of. So hooray for more movies in Arkansas. And if I get to watch those in theaters, I will definitely be doing reviews on them and letting you know my thoughts and opinions on that and seeing if it's a movie that you should go out and watch as well. So, like I said, that's my list. I don't have a list of video games that are coming out. I honestly don't remember like some of the big ones that are coming out. I know Elden Ring's coming out here in the next few weeks. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I'm not a huge fan of the Elden Ring series. I guess it's not a series, but that studio that puts out that game. The only one I've ever really played out of the Dark Souls series is Sekiro. I really enjoyed it after I died 90 times and had to take a 2-week break and return back to thinking, oh, okay, this is how the combat works. But that's getting off onto a completely different topic. There's also going to be several other games that come out this year. I'm hoping to do reviews on those. They're probably not going to be as frequent as the movie reviews that come out just because those do take longer hours to put in. Also, just kind of the way I play games is if you ever watch The Completionist on YouTube, I really like to try and 100% all of my games, try to get at least all the trophies and find all the secrets if possible. That just makes for a fuller game to complete as far as like, oh, I'm really getting my money's worth out of this game. I've really done everything I could. And yeah, this is a game that I would revisit or recommend to others or be like, yeah, glad I played it. Don't know if I'll play it again sometime soon, but I'll definitely hold on to it in my library of games. But yeah, that is basically what I'm hoping to do with this channel. I'll of course do movie reviews. Because of the pandemic and everything, of course, it's sometimes hard to see movies go in the theaters. And of course, a lot of movies go to streaming nowadays. While I do like the niceness of being able to stream movies from my home, I just cannot subscribe to another streaming service. I've got Netflix, Hulu, of course, HBO Max. My wife has Amazon Prime, so we occasionally watch movies from there, but I can't get Peacock or I can't get Apple Plus. I just don't want to shell out more money. I might as well just switch back to cable at that point. And no one wants to switch back to cable, but I do want movies to still be able to go to theaters. That way everyone has the opportunity to watch it. And then if they want to do day one access like HBO Max does for their movies, I think that's a great idea as well. That way you can still watch it from the comfort of your own home. But if you don't have the Apple Plus, then yeah, let's watch it in movies. I think that would be a wonderful opportunity that way, because I know I'm missing out on great content as well, but I just don't want to buy another streaming service at this point. But yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to do movie reviews on up-to-date movies. I also want to try to do movies that, of course, have either been released within the last couple of years or more classic movies, stuff that I have in my library that I'm like, oh, yes, this is a movie I want to talk about, give my opinions on, recommend to other people, or not recommend to other people, just kind of depends. Oscars are going to be coming out here in the next month. I'm not sure if they've released the list of Best Picture nominations, but what I am hoping to do is, once they do have that list released, be able to just watch those movies and let people know what I think of each Best Picture nomination and kind of give my 2 cents on who I think might win Best Picture. I think the last 2 years I've been wrong, but you know what? I have enjoyed watching each movie and being like, wow, I can definitely see why this is considered Best Picture. I think you should, outside of the, of course, big blockbuster movies, have those more heartfelt moments. Not that blockbuster movies can't have that, but of course, you know, the dramas and, you know, period pieces, that sort of thing, those are more artistic is the word I'm going to say. But I don't subscribe to the belief that comic book movies aren't cinema. Like Martin Scorsese once said, every movie I feel like has its own merits and can be artistic or cinematic in their own way. Not all going to be great, but I think each movie is art. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the Oscars holds. Hopefully I can do movie reviews on those as well. That way, if you have not heard anything, you hear it here first and you're like, okay, yeah, I'll definitely give that a watch, maybe see what they have to offer and see if they might even win Best Picture or anything. But yeah, this has been the first episode of the Cinephile Gamers Podcast. I really appreciate you joining me. I'm hoping to do an episode every week, like I said before, and hopefully you will join me there and we'll see what else we can do. I'll try to, in these first few episodes, experiment as well on what audio music I can put. I know that there is some issues with playing licensed music, so I'm going to try to avoid that as best as I can, because it would be nice to be sponsored eventually and not have all my content taken down. And we'll just see where we go from here. Anyways, thanks guys for joining me. Hope to see you on the flip side.